It started with whispers. Not the kind you hear in a crowded room or a classroom lecture, but whispers that came when you were alone, when the air was too still and the shadows too deep. They would crawl into your ears, soft and rhythmic, repeating a name you didn't recognize, but couldn't forget. Marid. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. After everything that had happened with Grayson, after the doll, the vortex, and the sacrifices, I thought it was over. I wanted it to be over. But the whispers came back, louder, sharper, like they knew I was trying to ignore them. That's when the object started showing up. It began with a mirror. I found it on my doorstep, an old, ornate thing covered in a fine layer of dust. There was no note, no explanation, just the mirror sitting there like it had been waiting for me. I didn't think much of it. I was in grad school, surrounded by cheap hand-me-downs and forgotten junk. Maybe someone had left it by mistake. But when I brought it inside, I knew something was wrong. The first time I looked into it, I didn't see my reflection. I saw her. The porcelain face, the cracked grin, the hollow, glowing eyes. She stood behind me, her head tilted, her grin wide. I spun around, but there was nothing there. Just the empty room, and the faint smell of mildew that hadn't left since that night with Grayson. I tried to get rid of it. I threw the mirror in the dumpster behind the dorm, but the next morning, it was back. This time, it wasn't on my doorstep. It was inside my room, propped against the wall like it had always been there. And the whispers were louder now. Marid, Marid, Marid. I wasn't the only one. It took me weeks to figure out I wasn't alone, that the curse wasn't just targeting me. The others found me online. Forums, subreddits, deep web threads. We were all connected by one thing. We'd encountered her, either through the doll or another cursed object. There was Ava, who found an old music box in her grandmother's attic. Every time it played, she swore she could hear faint laughter, like a child hiding just out of sight. Then there was Cole, who inherited a set of antique keys from his late uncle. Each key seemed to unlock a different door, but the rooms on the other side didn't belong to his house. And then there was me, with the mirror. We pieced the story together in fragments, trading details in frantic messages and late-night calls. It wasn't just the doll. The Marid was tied to all of these objects, her power splintered, but still growing. Every cursed item was like a seed, and the more people she ensnared, the stronger she became. It wasn't long before we started seeing her. Not just in our reflections or in fleeting glimpses, but in our dreams. The forest, the altar, the void. She was always there, her hollow eyes burning into us, her voice whispering promises of pain and vengeance. "You cannot escape," she would say. "You cannot run from what you've called." The last time I spoke to Ava, she sounded different. Her voice was shaky, her breathing erratic. "She's here," she whispered. "What do you mean?" I asked. "The music box," she said. "It's been playing all night. I didn't wind it. I didn't even touch it." "Ava, get out of there!" I said. She laughed, a brittle, broken sound. It's too late. She's already here. The line went dead. When I went to Ava's apartment the next day, it was empty. No signs of struggle. No blood. Nothing. The only thing left behind was the music box, sitting on her kitchen counter. It was open, the delicate tune playing softly, endlessly. And in the reflection of its polished surface, I saw her. She grinned at me, her hollow eyes glowing faintly, and the whispers grew louder. Marid, Marid, Marid. I don't know how this ends. The cursed objects keep spreading. Every week, I find another story online. A man who can't get rid of a pair of old shoes. A family haunted by a photograph that won't stay on the wall. Each one tied to her. Each one feeding her. I don't think we can stop her. I don't even know if Grayson is still alive, trapped in whatever void she calls home. All I know is that every night, when the shadows grow long and the whispers return, I see her in the corner of my eye. And she's waiting for me to call her name again.